Good morning, grade 4s. Today we are going to talk about how we diagram conjunctions. Now, for the most part, you should be able to recognize how these conjunctions are used. The one exception is going to be number 3 when the conjunction is separating two separate thoughts. So we'll get there when we get there. In the meantime, we're going to just sort of jump into it. And the first thing we do before we actually draw the diagram is we always mark the sentence for diagramming. So we mark everything in the sentence that we think we need to know. So that's things like the subject, the type of verb, so being, action, linking verb, all of those. We mark any direct objects. We mark any predicate nominatives or predicate adjectives. And finally, we mark our adverbs and adjectives by drawing arrows from one thing to another. So those are all the things we're going to be looking for as we diagram. And to add in to our conjunctions, I'm just going to circle any conjunctions that I see in my sentence as well. So that's the new one that we're adding in, and hopefully it'll be pretty good. So here's our first sentence. A gong's various and unique sounds are eerie or soothing. Very good. So first of all, I'm going to look for the verb. And in this case, my verb is one of those tricky ones. It's the verb are. So I'm going to double underline that one. That's my verb. Now what are? Or who are? The sounds of the gong. So I'm gonna do sounds right there. That is my subject. Separate my subject and verb. There we go. Now I need to work with some of these things. So first of all, I notice that there are some words after my verb. They are not nouns, so they can't be direct objects or predicate nominatives. But if they link back to sounds, they could be our predicate adjectives. So are the sounds soothing and eerie? Actually, yes, they are. So both soothing and eerie are going to be predicate adjectives. And hey, here's a conjunction. Let's circle that conjunction. There we go. So the end part of my sentence is done. Let's go back up here. I see another conjunction, so I'm going to circle it. And these words here, unique, that's a describing word, describing the sound. So I'm going to draw an arrow here. And then, various also is describing the sounds. Gongs, also describing the sounds. And is also describing the sounds. So lots of adjectives describing sounds there. And then we have all the rest of our sentence. So as always, we start by diagramming our subject and our verb. In this case, it's not too bad. So I'm going to draw a line like this. And then I'm going to draw a line like this through the sentence. Over here, I'm going to put sounds, which is my subject. And over here, I'm going to put are. Now to add in the predicate adjectives, I'm going to put a slanted line. Anything that's predicate has a slanted line. And the problem is there's two of them, so I'm actually going to have to branch off here and put both of them on separate lines. So I'm going to put eerie on the top, and I'm going to put soothing on the bottom, just like that. And those two words, eerie and soothing, are connected to each other by that or. So that or is going to go on a dotted line right between them, like this. Eerie or soothing, just like that. Now, what else do I need to do? I have this word, I have this word, I have this word, I have this word, I have this word. All of my adjectives. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 adjectives. I'm going to have to put off of sounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there we go, and I'm going to write them all on there. Gongs, various, unique sounds. Now, the two words that are connected with the and are various and unique. So I'm going to draw a dotted line connecting various and unique. And on that dotted line, it's going to be really hard to do, but I need to write a little and up there. And that's sort of what my sentence should look like diagrammed. If I had drawn this a little bit better, I could have written these words a bit lower, and then I'd have more room for my and. But basically, any words that are connected by the conjunction, you're just going to draw a dotted line between them and connect them up, just like that. So that's our first sentence. let's take a look at our second sentence. We're doing the same thing. We're using all of the same things to mark our sentences, just a different sentence. So, size and material determine the mallet's sound. First thing I do is I figure out what that verb is going to be. Yep. So there we go. Determine is my verb. That's a bit of a tricky one to find too because it's a bigger word, but there it is. And what determines or who determines? Oh, size and material. So in this case, I have two subjects and one verb just like that. The mallet's sound. Sound here is a noun. So is sound going to be a direct object or is it going to be a predicate nominative? Well, let's think. Does sound describe the material or the size? Does it link back to one of those two? No, not really. And this also isn't one of our being or linking verbs. So therefore, can't be a predicate nominative. It has to be a direct object. So I'm going to put a DO in front of it. Now, mallets is describing the sound, and the is also describing the sound. Those two are adjectives. Size and material, and is the last one we need, and that is a conjunction. So I'm going to circle it just like that. And once again, my sentence is nice and ready for diagramming now. So here we go. I have two nouns, so I'm going to have to draw two lines for my subject. Connect them up, draw a line like this, and then I have one verb, so I'm going to put a line like this. Let's start with those. So size, material, and then determine. Very good so far. And hey, we already can put our and in right there. And. So that's where my and goes to join those two up. And then I just need my direct object. When we make a direct object, we go directly up and down like that. And so sound is going to go on here. And then the words describing sound, the mallets, are going to go on my diagonal lines here. The mallets. There we go, and that sentence is diagrammed a little bit easier than the other one. Now this last one though, this one gets a little bit tricky, so just follow along with me because here my conjunction isn't just separating two words, it's separating two entire full ideas. This here could be a sentence all by itself, and this here could also be a sentence all by itself. And so what we're basically going to do is we're going to create two sentences worth of diagramming, and then we're going to connect them with the but afterwards. So I'm going to actually just focus on this first part first, and then I'll focus on the second part second. So let's look at the first full sentence in here. Padded mallets make a muted sound. First of all, find my verb, make. Good. What makes or who makes? Mallets make. There's my subject and my verb. I have a noun after my verb. This is going to be either a direct object or a predicate nominative. Is sound relating back to mallets? Is mallets a sound? No, not at all. So that one is going to have to be my direct object. That makes sense because this is an action verb, not a linking verb. So there we go. I found all my big things. Now I have my describing words. Muted describes sound, a describes sound, and padded describes mallets, just like that. So that first part of the sentence is all diagrammed, and it can make its own diagram. Let's look at this. So start with my subject and my verb. Mallets make, just like that. And then I need to add all of my other things. I have my direct object directly up and down. Put sound on there. A and muted describe sound. And padded describes mallets. Right away, I have my first diagram. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with the second part of the sentence. This also is basically a full sentence all by itself. So here we go. What's the verb of this part? Makes. What makes or who makes? The mallet makes. So very similar to the last one. Now, we talked about how sound over here was a direct object. Sound here is also a noun and it's not relating back to mallet, so this one is also a direct object. Sharp describes sound, a describes sound, hard describes sound, and a describes sound as well. So there we go. I have my sentence marked out as well. I'm going to diagram it just like I diagrammed the last one. I'm going to start with my subject and verb. Mallet makes a sharp sound, so that's direct object. Sound goes on the line over here. And then a and sharp describe sound. And a hard describes mallet. So there we go. Those two diagrams are technically separate sentences. However, they are linked with the linking word but. So right here where the big cross line is that's found in every single one of your diagram sentence, I'm going to draw a dotted line connecting those two sentences. And on that dotted line, I'm just going to draw a line out and write the word but, because the word but is connecting this part of the sentence to this part of the sentence. So whenever we're connecting two ideas, we do two different diagrams and just connect it with a but. There we go, grade 4s. I hope that makes sense and have a great day.